This is the front entry of our firehouse, and we've got a couple things on loan from you guys, and we really appreciate having a little aviation heritage here. So you'll see throughout the firehouse we have a couple Easter eggs that we were able to hold on temporarily for you guys. So this is the front entry area. We could have a secretary here. Right now we don't, just with funding and everything. So in the hallway we have 4 offices for our assistant fire chiefs, and then the end office is for the fire chief. So here's a little bit of a shadow box for our fire department here, starting out with some of the first firefighters for the airport. We were very lucky to have pictures from 1946 of the first airport county firefighters. Some of the old hats we've had and helmets. This is a coat from the fire department here, from institutions, and that's a uniform worn there as well. There's an old self-contained breathing apparatus. They sure have changed a lot since then. And then some of the old patches that we started with. And then here's the fire pole I was talking about, the original pole from Watertown Plank. So here's our gym. This is one of the big additions that the firefighters are really happy to find out we had in the plans. We've got some TVs here and some very nice workout equipment. We all are given time to work out during our shifts here, which is really nice. Some people are really into CrossFit or a different type of rowing workout. And if you notice, we have some different service branch flags throughout here. Our department is made up of about 80% veterans who served in the different branches. And a funny story is one of our captains kept complaining since he was in the Civil Air Patrol in middle school, he never had a flag. So the fire chief bought him a flag. So this is called our alarm room. So we have a lot of computer training that we have to do as firefighters here. So this is where they take turns using the computer. We do all kinds of reports. We have to do stuff like that for every type of emergency call we go on to document it. We've got an airfield communicator up there so we can see what's going on in the airfield. We have some alarm systems here. It's backup systems for the airport fire alarm system. So it's a really complex system if you think about it. The building is huge and there's way many nodes and detectors and devices. So whenever we get called for a fire alarm at the terminal, we can see on a map where it is before we head out the door. And then there's a crash phone here as well. So there's about 15 crash phones in the station that we can answer. So this is our apparatus bay. Here you can see the chief's buggy. This is 712. That's what Chief Phillips would drive today. That's what I drive tomorrow. You can see it's got red lights and siren around it. And one of the new additions is the incident commander of a scene. They're the person in charge of the emergency. They mark their vehicle by green lights. So some of the lights on this buggy turn green, so they flash green. So if you see green lights flashing on an SUV somewhere or a pickup truck, that means that that's the firefighter that's in charge of the scene. So that's how we mark incident command. This is Rescue 716. And if we walk down, we can kind of look at the side of it. So in this fire truck, we have 500 gallons of water, 60 gallons of foam. So this is a nice little rapid intervention vehicle. That's what this is called, is a RIV, a R-I-V. It can carry 4 firefighters up front, and it can spray water out a little turret, 250 GPM. It's powered by a separate diesel motor that powers a pump, so it's completely separate from the drivetrain. So this has a nice little 250 GPM pump. We have hand tools, fire extinguishers, chainsaws, rotary saws, traffic cones, and we have a bunch of hose on the top as well, just like a normal fire engine. It's just a smaller version of a city fire engine. And the reason it has a separate diesel engine to power the fire pump is because it has to be able to pump while driving in reverse. The very most expensive part of this fire truck right next to you is the power divider. The power divider takes power from the diesel engine and puts some of the power to the transmission for the wheels, and then the other power goes to the fire pump. So that power divider can also provide power to the fire pump when it goes in reverse. So these fire trucks can spray water while they're driving, going forward, and then say there's an emergency and they need to move back to get away from all this jet fuel that just lit up. It can drive in reverse and still spray water, foam, and dry chem. This fire truck, that costs too much. So they just put a separate diesel engine in, a little one, like a little generator, to power the pump on this one. This one isn't used necessarily for fighting big fires. It's supposed to be a rapid intervention vehicle to make a quick hit on something before this one gets there. So this one carries all the rescue equipment as well, the jaws of life, rescue struts to stabilize a car or an aircraft that tipped over. And this is staffed with a captain and a firefighter equipment operator every day, minimum. This is Rescue 718. This is the one you saw in most of the pictures. It has the high reach extendable turret on it. We'll walk this way, you can see it. This red aluminum cylinder here with the tip on it, you can see the little holes. It's like a sprinkler head that flows 250 gallons a minute outside of that. And that depth is just under 3 feet. We can poke into an aircraft fuselage skin. And we do special training on that every month. And we actually have a fake airplane fuselage that we can poke. So that's really fun, and spray water in it. The fog nozzle on the end of it, the big black nozzle, flows 1,250 gallons per minute about. And in the center of it, there's a little tube. Looks like you could fit a roll of quarters in there. That's where the dry chemical comes out of. So the fog nozzle sprays water and foam out, and then dry chem comes right through the middle, that purple potassium bicarbonate. And if you look, this is the same nozzle as up there. It can spray dry chem out in the center. So the high reach extendable turret goes up about 50 feet. And this turret, the bumper turret, can drop down for low attack. So we can sweep the fire, a running fuel fire, out of the way. And if you look, there's a sprinkler head underneath the truck. There's 3 of them on this model that sprays water underneath the truck. So if we happen to drive over something that's still on fire, we don't have to worry about it as much. So these trucks are off-road. That's why they look the way they do. The angle of approach, the front of it is slanted, different from a city fire truck. So we can drive off on a steep angle. These trucks are more off-road capable than a big lifted pickup truck. Sure, they weigh over 80,000 pounds fully loaded, but they're 6-wheel drive. And they can attack things at an over 22-degree angle. So we have a driving course we developed in the back of the airport in the hills. And we take these guys on a 22-degree angle sideways, going up and coming down. And it's mind-blowing. You're leaning sideways in the truck while you're driving it. And it's all designed to handle off-road because aircraft don't always crash on runways, so we have to be able to go through. Another fun fact about these trucks, since their center of gravity is so high, right, they could tip over. We have lateral accelerometers inside, so they'll beep at you while you're driving if you turn too sharp. So there's a really high safety factor built into these. And all of our trucks have cameras in them as well to make sure everything is recorded. So here's 150 feet of 1 3/4 attack line. So this is the fire nozzle and hose that we would use to put out a small fire by hand. But since we staffed this one with 1 person, 1 firefighter equipment operator, and that one with 1 firefighter equipment operator, our minimum staffing is to do what we can from inside the truck. We're waiting on the city of Milwaukee, the 128th Fire Department, to help augment our forces. So then we would be grabbing the hand lines and going inside an aircraft that's on fire. Here's our halotron line on this truck. The invisible gas can come out of that hose. We have multiple fittings for connecting to different fire hydrants and other fire trucks. This fire truck can flow out both turrets 2,000 gallons per minute. So our pump is way bigger, our fire pump is way bigger than most city fire trucks. So when we have the city fire trucks give us water, if we need it on a crash scene and we don't drive away to get water, we have very specific instructions for the city fire department to reservice to fill directly into our tank, our 3,000 gallon water tank. Most other fire departments, the water goes right into the fire pump. But since we're using so much water with both of our turrets, we always have them fill our tank because there's more of a buffer in that. Because if we would fill the fire pump and the fire pump would send out more water than it's getting, it would suck the hose dry. So that's one of the unique things about our trucks. Here's our pump panel. This is just like a regular fire engine for the city of Milwaukee, this fire pump. It's got the same gauges. We just operate it a little bit differently. The different inlets and outlets and we have our 420-gallon foam tank inside, so we can take foam and put it in or pump it out. We've got extensions for our piercing nozzle here, so we can make it deeper if we have to get into an overhead bin or a different can for FedEx if we need to stick the piercing nozzle in deeper. We've got really powerful scene lights on the top. They're really bright and can light up the area, so we can leave those on at night if there's an incident. And if you look off to my left here, this fire truck is the big brother of this one. Rescue 715 is a newer version. It's the same exact specifications. 3,000 gallons of water, 420 gallons of foam, and 500 pounds of halotron. So this truck is just a newer version. That's called a Legacy Oshkosh Striker. And this is a global Striker. This is the newer version. It's redesigned. It has 12 more square feet of glass, because when you're driving on the airfield, you definitely need to be able to see your field of view. There's a lot more glass in this fire truck, and the center console is redesigned. This one looks a little different too on the inside. We've got more room. And if you look, there's a big red tank right here of argon. The argon gas powers the halotron. We have to use an inert gas to push it out. The moisture in air, compressed air, doesn't work, so that's why we use argon. We've got some supply hoses, and this one has 2 attack lines. They're just different colors, so we can tell the firefighters more pressure on the red line, less pressure on the green line. So that's why fire hoses are different colors. We've got some portable scene lights, rotary saw, an air chisel, so we can cut metal like mechanics do. A set of irons. This is the bread and butter for every firefighter. It's a flathead axe and then a Halligan tool. So it has a fork. This is called an adz, A-D-Z, and then a pick. So this is a set of irons. This is what every firefighter carries when they get off of the fire truck if we're going to a fire alarm, because this is how we can open up any door in the airport. And it has a generator. All of our fire trucks have generators right now, so they can power outlets to provide scene lights or to turn on fans, because we carry portable fans to blow smoke out of aircraft. So here's what the engine looks like. All the engines, the diesel engines, are in the back of our fire truck. Over 500 horsepower, really torquey diesel engines. And you can hear the air compressors kicking on. That's the noise right now.
How much does the truck cost?
Close to $1.5 million. So here's our new Assistant Chief Buggy. It's going to get a radio program tomorrow and then hopefully go into service. This truck has way more capability than the Suburban because it has a crossband repeater. So we can take all the fire departments from 5 counties around that use different radios and different radio channels, and we can all patch them together with this truck. It's a very, very unique thing that we have here. So we're very excited to have that capability. It also has a winch in the front bumper. We've got to have a 12,000-pound winch in the fire department. The FAA says that's one of the big things on top of our fire trucks. So we have a nice winch. So this is Rescue 719. This is our mass casualty truck. So this responds. It's already been approved to go on any mass casualty incident in the local area. All the fire chiefs sit down every year and they figure out, hey, we could have this type of emergency. What could you send me? Or what would I like to have come? So those are called box cards. So we're lucky to be part of the mutual aid box alarm system. That's MABAS, M-A-B-A-S. MABAS was started in Chicago, I think in the late 60s, early 70s. And it moved its way up into Wisconsin. So what it is it's a predetermined amount of vehicles and staffing that will come for any type of emergency. So there's about 12 different types of emergencies we can break down that could happen here at the airport. And what we did is we worked with all the surrounding departments and their chiefs, figuring out, well, is it a little emergency or a big one? And we stratify it by different boxes. So if we have a 1-alarm fire, that's a box alarm. If it's a 2-alarm, it's the second box. A 3-alarm, third box. So it's all predetermined for the amount of fire chiefs that come, engines, crash trucks, rescue trucks. So we have that all predetermined. So all the fire departments in 3 counties, for any mass casualty incident pile up on the freeway, anything where they have a lot of EMS patients, this truck will go. We'll send it right away with 2 people. Same goes for if there's an industrial fire anywhere. We'll send 2 firefighters driving 718 because it has all of our different agents on it, and then a chief will go as a safety officer. So if there's a fire on the north side of Milwaukee at a fuel tank farm, 718 is going to go right away with 2 firefighters and the assistant chief in the buggy. They'll go right away. We still maintain our minimum staffing and Part 139 requirement, and we have firefighters on callback. So firefighters will come in and backfill, so will an assistant chief. We have a pretty good system set up for when you're off duty, you can come back in. We carry Stokes baskets and backboards, ladders, portable battery fans to blow smoke out of an aircraft or the terminal. They're really high powered. Airbags for lifting up planes or cars. There's 56 backboards here. So we can move a lot of people pretty quick. All we need is the firefighters to help move. Up on the roof, we have compartments too, and they have litters, the military Army litters that fold out. So it's like a mesh with a wood frame. And even life jackets, because we have the aqueducts that go through part of the airport. We need to be safe with that, and taglines and rope. We carry everything from body bags to body part flags on this truck to document a scene, right? And we have to work from the beginning to the end if there is a crash. Here's our EMS supplies. We have boxes of trauma dressings, hot packs, cold packs, oxygen tanks, tourniquets. And then up front, if you look, we have 3 colored bags here on a pull-out tray. This is a transverse tray, so it slides all the way through the fire truck. And these are our triage materials. The FAA kind of figured out with all these different plane crashes, they would stratify how many people would be injured a certain level. And we call that triage. So we triage patients here when we come up to them, and we figure out whether or not they have an injury where they can walk, they're the walking wounded, or maybe a delayed treatment, so maybe they broke their arm but they can still walk, or maybe they have an open chest wound and they have a hard time breathing. So we can categorize them as a red tag. So we have 4 different colors when we tag a person. We have green, which is walking wounded, yellow, which is delayed, so they have a broken arm, red, they have an open chest wound, that's an immediate, and then we have gray, which is expectant. So we can't do much for them. Then they turn into a black tag, which would be a deceased patient. So we have tons of these bags, and inside them are smaller bags that have tourniquets, wound dressings, chest seals. That's one of the problems that we have with a large traumatic event, is there's a lot of people we have to sort through, and to triage is one of the things. So every aircraft emergency we get here, any alert 2 or 3, which we probably get 1 alert 2 a week with a flat problem or a landing gear problem. This fire truck is staffed by a firefighter, and they drive to Gate 4 Alpha where you came in. And they turn around and they face towards the field. Then all the Milwaukee units and Oak Creek and everybody else who's coming from the other fire departments that the assistant chief calls, because we want to make sure we have enough kind of in reserve here at the airfield. When they line up behind this fire truck's job is to guide the first wave of units in if there is a crash or something bad happens. And this fire truck will set up like a cache of equipment. And the firefighter that's assigned to it literally hands out clipboards to the different people that fill different roles of triage supervisor, EMS transport group supervisor. So when all the firefighters come here, they know exactly what their job is, and they use our triage equipment. So this is a fairly new truck. We're pretty lucky to have a nice one like this. Some other airports have modeled theirs off ours. So, yep, this is Rescue 719. The other side has RTF gear, Rescue Task Force, which is, we have armored vests and helmets and a different type of triage kit. So we can go into active shooter environments. So we train on that every year. So this resource is one of the more used resources in the area for mass casualty. And behind us, this is Rescue 717. This is a legacy. It's a twin to Rescue 718, but it does not have an HRET on top. So So this one just has a roof and a bumper turret that can do low attack. Does anyone want to sit in one of the trucks?
Yes.
Sure. Here, we can, when you climb up, make sure you use the handles. There's handles on each side and a step. There you go. Yeah, yeah.
Gives you the best view, I imagine.
Exactly. So the driver of all of our vehicles sits dead center in the apparatus, and that's to have a better view from both sides of the truck.
Because they're not dealing with oncoming traffic.
Yeah. These trucks are 10 feet wide at the outsides of the tires, so they qualify as a wide load on the highway. And our driver's training is a pretty robust program where we go through cone courses and then a designated driving route, and we spend a lot of time making sure everyone is comfortable driving these big trucks, and they weigh over 80,000 pounds.
The joysticks are for the nozzle?
Yep, we have two joysticks. The one closest to the driver is for the bumper turret, and the one farther away is for the roof turret, or HRET. Yeah, so we control those with joysticks.
How much does one of the tires cost?
I think more than one of my paychecks. Fun fact, we actually have to have an extra spare tire for every fire truck here in reserve. It's in a cold storage building because the FAA, if we pop a tire, then we can drop below index. We don't want to do that. So everything here is thought out about redundancies. That's why we have more than one truck.
Most of what you've got set up here is to respond to like passenger aircraft. Do you have any special procedures or cautions if there's a cargo aircraft involved? Like,
We do.
You have to know what's on board.
We do. So they have a no talk. So they have hazardous cargo paperwork the pilot has in the cockpit at all times. So in a perfect world, if a cargo plane lands and is on fire, the pilot, co-pilot, any crew get out and they carry the papers with them. Well, we don't live in a perfect world. So we can be able to talk to whoever the cargo company is, their dispatch, and we can find out what is on there and what position. Because they have these little cans, they're little containers of different spaces of the aircraft. So like the most hazardous stuff they actually carry towards the front of the aircraft. And they have fire suppression systems that go to them. They have the halotron systems. So we would be able to figure it out if they gave us the paperwork and we call their dispatch, and it turns into a big thing. We can coordinate all that. And we train on it all the time. The training this week is to review the notice, the no-talks, the notice to captains, the way bills. We have extra way bills and no-talks from FedEx and UPS. So we do training with them every year. And we tour their facility, we go through their aircraft. We just had a MD-11 pilot retire for UPS. So his final flight is he lands, taxis to the gate at the cargo ramp, and we do a water cannon salute. Yeah, so a retiring pilot gets that if the temperature is above 32, and then the honor flights get those when they leave. Yeah.
Do you ever wind up practicing or getting involved in things, electrical fires like substations, which is a whole specialty kind of fire?
Yep.
Like
Yeah. So halotron, right, would work on that depending on what it is. But we work with We Energies and the airport electric shop to make sure it's de-energized. We also have the Amtrak station, the Milwaukee Airport Rail Station, Mars. They're adding onto it right now. So they're adding another deck on the other side. So we cover that area as well. So we have planes, trains, and automobiles. So here's Hazmat 710. It's a 4-door box truck. We carry about 500 gallons of foam in there. We carry different types of fuel pigs. That's what we call these things. It's like a giant sausage that's about this diameter, and it's about 50 feet long, and it has absorbent pads in there, so we can put it around a fuel spill. Because we're the initial responders for fuel spills here. Whatever airline caused the problem, they're ultimately responsible for cleanup, but we're there to make sure it doesn't get in the storm sewers, it doesn't affect other aircraft, it doesn't affect any of the airport operations. So we have a bunch of hazmat supplies. So if there's a hazmat call, like a fuel spill, one of the firefighters jumps in this, who would normally drive Rescue 716, the rapid intervention vehicle. The captain would then drive that truck, and then the firefighter would drive this.
How many fuel spills a year do you get?
I'd say maybe one a week.
One a week? Well, that many?
but the fuel spills we're going to are a gallon, less
they're
than
not-
5 gallons. We
How
rarely,
often do you get a big one?
maybe once a year if that.
Once a year?
Maybe,
you get a big one,
maybe.
Or once every 2 years?
Yeah.
Target would be 0, of course.
Right, right.
Preferably, but
Yeah, and even if they spill, if this much fuel gets spilled, the rule is they have to call us. We go there, it's already cleaned up, it never left the hard surface, it never went down a drain, that's fine. So we make sure everything is safe.
Where do you train the operators to, these are pretty complex vehicles, a lot of bells and whistles. Where do you get trained to operate one of those?
OJT,
Really?
on the job training. So for the driver operators of the ARFF trucks, you can go to a school. The closest one is in Appleton. The FAA funded a giant training site at ATW, the Appleton Airport at Fox Valley Tech. And they have, you can take the airport rescue firefighter course there, the driver operator course, and they're working on building more curriculum. I'd say a quarter of us are ex-Air Force firefighters, and that was mandatory training, right? The driver operator, ARFF. Everyone else has either gone to a school or we do on-the-job training. And the on-the-job training follows the same curriculum as the driver operator in the technical schools and the military. So we just don't have a certifying official. So that suffices for us right now.
you
Yeah.
said that's where your apprentice is up right now, doing the training?
He just got back from
Or
there.
just got back?
Yeah, he's in EMT school here at MATC.
Oh, how great.
Yeah, so we should pass that soon. He's actually riding along with Oak Creek Fire Department tomorrow morning.
Ah,
So he has to do so many patient contacts on an ambulance. And we don't have an ambulance.
that's
Because
one thing
every-
you don't have.
That's one thing we don't have. Anytime there's an EMS call in the terminal or the Milwaukee Regional Business Park or the Amtrak station, we respond with Rescue 716, the captain and a firefighter, and then the chief, the assistant chief goes, and we figure out what's going on, and then if it's a serious call and they want to get transported, we call an ambulance in from one of the fire departments surrounding us. Well, this concludes our tour of the Airport Fire Department, and I hope you guys had fun.
We would like to present you with something, Sam.
Uh-oh.
This is membership in the Mitchell Gallery of Flight,
Oh,
Friends of the Mitchell Gallery.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. That's so cool.
We've been in contact a lot, and
Oh.
this will keep us even
Yeah.
closer in contact.
Thank you so much. Thanks,
bet.
Bill. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you for watching. If you're looking for something to do, or you are traveling through Milwaukee Mitchell International Airport, stop by the Mitchell Gallery of Flight for some aviation history.